Hello everybody, and we are on to our final match of the evening, the King of Pancras title bout between Ken, the world's most dangerous Wayne Shamrock, and Minoru Suzuki. This is of course a rematch of their match at Pancras 1, where Suzuki absolutely decimates Ken's leg after being wrestled on for a good 10 minutes. Honestly, the human body was never meant to bend that way, and every time I look at it, I die a little inside. This match is for the King of Pancras title that Ken wears to the ring and shows off to the crowd. The national anthems are played, Ken feels the spirit of America filling him, and then we are on to the match. Suzuki shouts something Japanese at the bell and they proceed to trade kicks and slaps for a little while. Suzuki parries one of Ken's kicks and shoots a double in afterwards. Ken uses an underhook to shove him off and they return to standing and the crowd applauds. They trade some more light whipping kicks before Ken runs in with the hands and Suzuki grabs a clinch. Ken bundles him to the floor and jumps on a knee ride. Ken jumps on the armbar and Suzuki rolls up into his guard, pulling his arm free. Suzuki passes when Ken pops his leg and drops back on a leg, but Ken rolls up into him and takes top position. Ken goes back to knee ride and then sets up another armbar. This one looks tight, but Suzuki shoves the top leg over his head and comes up on top. As Ken works his way up to standing, Suzuki drops back on the leg and Ken spins to escape the heel hook, but Suzuki's waiting with a knee bar! Suzuki wins! Everyone in the crowd rejoices and so does Suzuki, except it was a work. Ken would soon be going to the UFC to fight Dan Severn for the Superfight title at UFC 6. Now, while Pancras didn't seem to mind Ken losing to Hoist Gracie, they did, however, not enjoy the possibility of him losing against Dan, because Dan at this time was the NWA heavyweight champion. Now, while their fears were unfounded and Ken would beat Dan handily, the problem was Pancras couldn't be seen to be weak against another wrestling organization. While today Pancras is probably the best MMA promotion in Japan, of course not counting the pure insanity that is rising, and has managed to consistently put on events outlasting both Pride and Dream, and putting out events more frequently than either Rings or Shuto, they at this time thought of themselves as a pro wrestling organization. One that was of course 99% shoot rather than 99% work, but they were still competing against pro wrestling, especially in Japan. They couldn't afford to look weak against the UWFI, that would soon go bust, or Rings, that would soon transition into a mostly shoot promotion like Pancras. So Ken couldn't be holding the title with the possibility of losing it to Dan. If you look at the match through this sort of pro wrestling mindset, the choice to make it a work and give the belt to Suzuki kind of makes sense. Unfortunately, the stigma of this match would follow Ken into his future career. This match, as a pro wrestling bout, is actually pretty good. The booking makes perfect sense. Ken had some serious trouble with upper body submissions, only getting one solitary straight armbar in his 50-fight career, and Suzuki caught Ken with that same heel hook to knee bar combination in their first match. Of course, it is annoying that we couldn't actually see these two go at it again for real, but, you know, it was a pretty good match. And overall, the event was pretty darn good. Most of the matches had finishes, and those that didn't had some very interesting technical stuff. And every match had something decent to look at. None of them were particularly boring. Apart from the main event being a work, I'd say this is one of the better events that Pancras has put on, so I'll give it an arbitrary 8 out of 10.